طيب dears, look what, if I want to complete course 1 and talking about the financial planning services and some introduction to what we call the financial technology known as the Fintech. Basically, we as financial planners or financial analysts working in the financial industry, whenever we meet with the clients, first of all, we should make sure to determine what are the financial goals of the clients. Basically, I might have a client having a $1 million worth of fund and would like to invest the $1 million. أول شيء, I would like to understand what are your financial goals? What do you want to accomplish with this $1 million? We might have one client deals that would like to maintain the value of the $1 million. بيقول لي, look what, and I would like to make sure that the real value of this amount is fixed. I want to generate a return that compensates me for the inflation. So the value of the $1 million over a period of time to remain the same. So this might be a financial goal. Another goal might be, look what, you might have a client that would like to accumulate additional amount to the $1 million to purchase, for example, an apartment. So this might be a financial goal. حدا ثالث, for example, would love to increase the value of the $1 million to give it, for example, for his family, and so on and so forth. So دايما, as a financial planner, أول شيء, I would like to understand the financial goals of the investors. Once I'm in the loop of the financial goals, I can tell them what are the potential investments. Basically, you have, for example, a client that would love to have, for example, a growth in the $1 million. So مثلا, a potential investment might be in equity, in stocks. Then once you invest in stocks, بتعرفي, those stocks would appreciate over time, would have what we call a capital gain. So this appreciation in the stock value would basically grow the $1 million. So basically, this might be a potential investment to invest in equity, or what we call أسهم. Another investor would tell me, look what, أنا the $1 million, I would like to generate a fixed income كل شهر or كل سنة in order to finance my monthly or yearly expenditure. So only, for example, it's not a good idea to invest in stocks. It's better to invest, for example, in bonds. لأنه bonds would generate a fixed stream of cash flow, which is the interest income. So look what, once you're able to identify the financial goals of the clients, you can tell what are the potential investments. So again, I would like to grow the amount, equity would be a good potential. If I would like to generate a fixed stream of cash flow to finance the expenditure, bonds would be a good investment. So that once you determine the financial goals, you can go for the potential investments. Yeah, look what, once you're able to determine the financial goals of the clients and identify the potential investments, it's very important to evaluate the risk and return for each investment. And دايما in finance, I cannot take an investment decision without assessing the risk of the investment. Basically, you might have an investor with a low risk appetite. بيقول لك, look what, I used to generate my wealth through employment, through fixed salary. So ولا مرة I took a risk in investment. So such a client ما عنده إمكانية or ما عنده رغبة to take a certain decision or in risky investments. So basically هون, I cannot invest, for example, in financial derivatives. That might be considered risky. Or for example, Grace, you might have a client يقول لك, look what, I want to generate a yearly return of 30%. But at the same time, I want to have a very low risk. What would be your answer, Grace, here? لما يقول لك client, I want to generate a 20% return with very low risk. Is it possible? What do you think? No. Not really, أبدا. لأنه it should always be a congruence between risk and return. Many clients ما عندهم this expertise. بيقول لك, okay, I want to generate this high return taking a very low risk. So it's very important to assess the risk appetite of the clients to make sure that the risk is congruent with the return expected. Once you're able to match between risk and return, the relationship between the client and the portfolio manager would be much better. So this is another service that might be given at the financial markets. وطبعا, once you pick a certain investment, you will go for trading the investment, hold the investment, manage it. Well, at the end of the day, basically at the end of the period, it might be on a quarterly basis, semi-annual, or even annual basis, it's very important to conduct the evaluation of the performance investments. Look what, the client is hiring this portfolio manager to add value to the account. But at the end of the day, as a client, I want to tell them what is the added value of this portfolio manager? What was the value of the fund at the beginning of the year? What is the value of the fund at the end of the year? So whenever you make a comparison between the initial value and ending value, whenever you make a comparison between the benchmark that you set at the beginning, I want to generate مثلا 5% return, will actual return, you're conducting a performance appraisal. You want to tell whether the portfolio manager عن جد was able to meet the objective. So if the portfolio manager was able to meet the objective, this is okay. If not, the client will look for another portfolio manager. So basically, the performance appraisal is a must. It should be communicated with the client at the end of the period to tell what was the objective and what is the actual performance. So كل هيدا would be within the, again and again, the investment services toward the clients. Look what, again, as we said, the financial planning services, as a financial planner, أول شيء, I would like to understand the current and the future financial needs of the clients. What do you want to accomplish? What is your objective? 2, what are the risks related to the investment? 3 والأهم, what is the risk tolerance of the client? So basically, Raed, if I want to ask you, is عندك a certain client, for example, let's say at 25 years old, عنده a certain permanent employment, receiving a fixed salary at the end of the month, and would have to make an investment with the savings of $50,000. versus another investment. Look what عنده saving of $1 million بس عمره 64 retired ما في عنده any other source of fund. What do you think, Raed? Which one would have higher risk tolerance? The one at the age of 25, employed, having a fixed salary, عنده long-term investment horizon, or the other one with $1 million worth of fund, retired, ما في عنده other source of income? What do you think? Which one would have higher risk tolerance?
The 25 years old.
مع انه عنده $50,000 worth of fund, which is much less than the 1 million. بس لانه the 25 years old client عنده long term investment horizon. ما عم يعتمد بس على البورتفوليو to generate a certain income. Already في عنده his own employment. Already is generating a monthly income. بينما the retired person ما عنده الا هيدا saving of $1 million بده يعيش منه until for example that. So this is for example a certain threshold to tell okay whether this investor عنده higher or lower risk tolerance. On the other hand يمكن حدا في عنده risk appetite بالpersonality تبعه انه يكون risk taker. One other one based on his personality is risk averse. So now for me it's very important as a portfolio manager to again assess the risk tolerance of the client. إذا بيتحمل ياخذ مخاطر or not really. كمان as a financial planner I would like to tell them again انت your objective is to maintain the value of your fund or لا to increase the value of the fund. هون تذكروا شباب لما نقول maintain the value يعني basically إذا أنا I have a $1 million اليوم this $1 million over time, you know it loses value. يعني what you used to buy in $1 million اليوم أكيد it would be less بعد سنة. So if I would like to maintain the value of the $1 million لازم to generate a return that matches the inflation rate. So هذا ما بكون ربح. يعني if you ended up having a 5% return آخر السنة and the inflation rate is 5%, you tell me, do you consider this 5% as a profit? What do you think? What do you think? Again, if the return generated is 5%, well, inflation rate is 5% as well. Do you consider this 5% as a profit, as a growth in your account?
Oh, no.
أكيد لا. لأنه basically this 5% would compensate you for the inflation rate. So this is called capital preservation. I'm only, again, maintaining my value versus capital growth. Look what? If the inflation rate is 5%, the return of the account is 20%. هلا, do you consider this as a growth? What do you think?
Yes, sure. Yes.
By how much? Which by 20%? By the difference between the return generated and the inflation rate. By 15% actually. So come in, I would like to tell what are your preferences. So مثل ما قلنا, whenever you're putting a financial plan, you should expect or assess the expected risk and return for the investments. Look at the client's capacity and tolerance to bearing the risk. Capacity مثل ما قلنا, do I have the capacity to take risk? Do I have a long-term investment horizon? Do I have a sufficient fund to tolerate risk? بينما tolerance, okay, بدك or ما بدك. يعني you might have enough money, you might have long-term investment horizon, but I don't like to take risk. So this is it, you cannot take risk. Again, you should consider the taxes and whatever expenses that you might incur. Remember, whenever you're doing a certain investment in the financial market, the profit is subject to taxes. وأنا شغلتي as a financial planner to minimize the tax bill on the investor. Look, tax evasion is illegal. You're not allowed to evade from tax. تهرب ضريبي ممنوع. However, tax management, tax avoidance, tax minimization is a must. واجبنا to make sure that we can minimize the tax bill on our clients. بس أكيد tax evasion is totally forbidden. So كمان, whenever I'm choosing a certain investment, I want to consider taxes. With the forecasting of the expenses, if you'd like to make a transaction, this transaction is subject to transaction costs, management fees. So come in, I would like to make the assessment of the expenses. Financial technology. Look what deals right now, أو in the past خليني أقول لكم, كل شيء financial planning كان يصير based on human beings. يعني for example, a portfolio manager, a financial planner, كان يعمل gathering the data, analysis the data, taking decisions, conducting performance appraisal. ده كان يصير manually by the portfolio manager. Right now, with the presence of the financial technology and artificial intelligence, most of those tasks can be done automatically. ويمكن الperformance يكون much better. لأنه whenever you're putting data in a platform or artificial intelligence software or using financial technology, you tell me, do you think that this will be biased as a human beings? شو رأيكم? When you're using artificial intelligence, you're putting data and the software is generating a certain decision, is generating a certain plan. برأيكم this artificial intelligence or this software, would it be biased like a human being? شو رأيكم؟ Not really. If you're able to correct, if you're able to put in correct data, basically this software would be able to generate a certain plan that is not biased based on the data that you put. So basically the presence of artificial intelligence right now is really interesting. Then it helps in, again, the financial planning, the business lending, the credit analysis, and so on and so forth. Look what, you at a personal level, you use the financial technology. مين منكم, for example, ما عنده the mobile banking application? أكيد you all use mobile banking application, مظبوط? To make transfers, to see your bank statements, and so on and so forth. Do you use it?
Yeah, of course.
The presence of the mobile banking application is a financial technology. So basically, instead of going to the bank and making a transfer, I can use my mobile application in order to initiate this transfer, in order to look at my account statement, and. So Damon, right now, remember that the financial technology is in place to facilitate, again, the work of the financial planners as well as the life of all other participants. Look at the artificial intelligence. Basically, whenever you're using a machine, whenever you're using a software, in order to generate a certain decision or a certain plan, this is done based on artificial intelligence. For example, banks, financial institutions, they have softwares, they have platforms. For example, at a personal level, you use ChatGPT, DeepSeek, and so on and so forth. Big banks, they have their own customized softwares right now that are based on artificial intelligence, for example, to generate a credit analysis. If I, for example, a banker, and then I submit an application to borrow a certain amount of money, would you lend me this amount of money, or you would like to conduct a certain analysis to tell what is the capacity of the applicant to pay off the principal, what is the profitability of the applicant to pay the interest, or لا بتعطي القرض هيك. What do you do, Steffi? أكيد, you will conduct what we call a credit analysis. The credit analysis, it's basically conducted in order to tell what is the ability, the capacity of the applicant to pay off the debt and the interest. طب in the past, رواد, كان في عندنا credit analyst هو يجمع الداتا, هو يعمل analysis, هو يطلع القرار whether this applicant should be granted the loan or not. But right now, with the presence of the artificial intelligence, and I can simply ask the applicant to provide me with the data, for example, with the financial statements, with the, for example, salary certificate, and. وبحطها بهيدا السوفتوير, والسوفتوير based on a certain algorithm بيقول لي whether this applicant is eligible to take the loan or not. And this software would tell me the amount that might be eligible for this applicant. طب هيدا will not be biased. ما في واسطة بقى, for example. ما في تحيز. Based on the data that you plug in, this software will be generating a certain analysis. So مثلا, this might be utilized or done through artificial intelligence. Another usage of the artificial intelligence softwares right now, fraud detection. For example, is you have a credit card, and over time, this credit card is used for filling, for example, gasoline in gasoline stations, but $20-30 per week or per day or whatever. It's used to pay your, for example, grocery bills, $20-30. It's used to pay for dinner or lunch, $20-30. This is the path of your usage of credit card. Suddenly, this credit card was used for $2,000 at a certain point of sale, ولا مرة مستخدمها أنت. If the bank that issued this credit card عنده artificial intelligence software to detect fraudulent activity, this would be triggering a certain red flag. And look what, صار له 10 سنين, this client يستخدم this credit card for decent amounts at grocery stores, gasoline stations, restaurants. Suddenly, a transaction of $2,000 was initiated at a point of sale ولا مرة مستخدمها. So basically, this transaction will not be executed until, for example, you receive a call or a message to validate that عن جد أنت you're doing this transaction. طب ليه؟ لأنه we have artificial intelligence قدر يعرف إنه this is odd, this is not normal. So come in, with the presence of the AI, we're able to identify fraud detection and so on and so forth. So basically, AI is really interesting right now in all industries, وبالتحديد in the financial industry. It's extremely important. Some fintech application, again, مثل ما قلت لكم, for example, mobile banking is a fintech application that we all use. يعني حتى لو ما بعمل trading, and I have the mobile application, so this is a fintech or financial technology application. كمان we can use this fintech for automated trading. يعني بيجي أنا بقول, for example, for the software, عندنا what we call robot trader. For example, look what, once the price of the share hits this value, $10, for example, automatically make the purchase or make the sale. So come in, this is for example, a fintech application. الأهم is this one, the decentralized finance and the cryptocurrency as an application of fintech. Look what, Sherbil, the major problem with the banking sector, and it's centralized. شو يعني centralized? يعني basically if you have a certain saving account at bank A, مين بيعرف بالsaving account? Bank A بس. يعني bank A بيعرف إنه أنت you have a $1 million worth of fund in this saving account. لأنه it's only known by bank A وأكيد regulator. It's centralized. So for example, hacking the system of this bank might put you under a problem. And for example, fraudulent activity by an employee of this bank كمان might put you under a certain problem. ليه؟ لأنه it's centralized. يعني ما حدا بيعرف بهذه الترانزاكشن إلا أنت والبنك. With the fintech, we have a decentralized application, decentralized finance. يعني, did you ever trade in crypto?
Yeah.
Perfect. What is the concept of cryptocurrency? Any idea? Can you describe me how does it work? What does it mean?
The blockchain, this total decentralization through a system that makes transactions unknown.
Okay. بس السؤال أول شيء decentralization or decentralization?
Decentralized system.
Yeah.
Through the blockchain.
Which means, look what, any user of the cryptocurrency would have a record about your account. يعني knows that Sherbil, for example, made this transaction. وشربل, for example, executed this transfer. So basically, مش إنه this transaction or this value is only centralized to one single location. كل حدا بيعمل data mining للcryptocurrency. كل حدا invests in crypto. يعني any transaction made anywhere in the world by any cryptocurrency user or investor should have مثل ما قلت لي كلمة blockchain a record that tells انه this is done by this party, this is transferred to that party, this is executed by the correct person وفي عندها hash code. This information منا centralized in one single server ابدا. It's basically decentralized عن كل حدا uses the cryptocurrency. طب tell me, the example that I gave for the banking sector انه ما حدا بيعرف within this for this account الا البنك. A fraudulent activity might occur within the banking system or by one employee of the bank. Do you think that this is applicable or easily applicable with decentralized finance? شو رأيكم؟ يعني is it easy to make a fraudulent activity in a decentralized finance? يعني basically المعلومات it's not only recorded in one single server غيرها وخلصت. المعلومات in decentralized finance Grace موجودة ب thousands of servers. يعني if you'd like to make a fraudulent activity مضطرة to alter مش one single server data, thousands of servers data. شو يا Grace? Is it as easy as the normal banking sector?
No, Raed, I have a question.
أكيد لا.
Sorry.
Yeah.
I have a quick question regarding crypto. Isn't like it's a way to invade the tax also in tax invasion, and many years ago there was a big fraud. You know about it, and how come we can track everything? Is it true that you can track every single transaction?
The first part of your question related to tax وبزيد عليها money laundering. Yeah, this is a concern. انه basically right now خلينا نقول previously انه some users or some concerns related to the cryptocurrency or any electronic currency might be related to money laundering or tax evasion. لانه it's not centralized. لانه it's not authorized by any country or any government. So this is a concern. بس هلا for example the Trump's administration that would love to legalize. Sorry عم تسمعني شربيل? Can you hear me?
Yes.
هلا with the Trump's administration that خلص اخذ قرار to legalize to make it a legal tender as a currency, cryptocurrency. I believe that the concern of tax evasion, of money laundering بيصير أقل. But right now, yes, it is a concern. This is why يمكن many countries بعد ما اعتمدوها. So this is one. Two, it's the second part of your question. It's totally decentralized, man. يعني basically إذا أنت عندك بلبنان بس عندك 10,000 servers, 10,000 users of crypto, 10,000 data miners. بكل server في عندك a copy of the hash code of the transaction. بكل server you have a copy of the information related to the transaction. طبعا بتكون encrypted انت ما حتعرف تقراها or you cannot read it and it's encrypted. But once you have a certain potential fraudulent activity, then it would be هيك having a red flag. So it's totally decentralized man 100%. وهي الامبورتنس تبعها by the way. هيدي السترينث بوينت تاعتها. Okay, dear.
I have a question.
Yes.
In order for it to be legalized, let's say in the US, it doesn't mean that it has to go through the regulator first to be legalized, and it defeats the purpose anyway. It's like a double-edged sword. So they're making it legal, but in order for you to become legal, you need to comply, and you need to become part of the system. So now it defeats it. So they're trying to legalize it, but control it at the same time.
Definitely. Look what is the concept to make a certain transaction or a certain asset or a certain currency legal? And I would like to put some regulations, some policies and procedures, and we should all follow it. وانا برايي اساسا انه this is the intention كان from the states كان عم بقول قبل انه لا I don't want to use this currency I always want to use the fiat currency or the normal currency بس هدفنا at the end of the day حسب ما عم بقولوا هلا ترامب هو الفرق انه بيحكي الموضوع so basically they are saying that look what I want to be the number one user of cryptocurrency based on rules and regulations that were set forth by the regulatory body of the states وانت if you want to use the crypto you should comply with those rules and regulations وهيدي by the way بتعلي قيمه الكريبتو و this is why صار حقها بال 100,000 and above so basically make it legal اكيد it would be worth it rules policies and procedures وبتنزل الريسك تبعها اوكي رواد Raed, did you get it?
Yes. But my other side of the question is like making it controlled by the government.
طبعا ما انت again how you want to make it legalized you should control it control what control the usage of the crypto to avoid money laundering to avoid tax evasion but you keep it decentralized so لاحظ يعني انا I want to keep the benefits the advantages of the cryptocurrency but I want to overcome the disadvantages the drawbacks so انا مشكلتي as a regulator انه this crypto might be used to وهي عم يعني بارتي فيها تستخدم هيك for money laundering لما عم بحط rules and regulations I want to prevent money laundering so basically اللي ما كان ياخذ or to accept the transactions with the crypto انه في عندنا this potential money laundering بيصير ما عنده problem which would be more widely utilized which value would increase okay Raed, did you get it?
Yes. Here, thank you.
Perfect. Great. كمان another usage of the artificial intelligence as we said robo-advising look what Steffi we might have a fully automated robo-advising and basically you gather data from your clients about the wealth the objectives the risks and so on and so forth you put this data or this information in the software well, this software will fully generate a certain plan so this is called fully automated digital wealth management on the other hand which is more useful right now more used خلينا نقول right now the advisor assisted يعني basically شرب the combination between and okay I would like to use the plan generated by the AI وكمان and I want to put my own touches so the advisor assisted digital wealth manager. So كل هيدا would be basically under the robo-advising. Right now, again and again, the artificial intelligence would create a plan. The artificial intelligence would conduct a certain performance appraisal. The artificial intelligence would prepare a certain asset and liability, for example, matching. يعني شو بده الclient versus what are the liabilities of the client. يعني كل شيء can be done through the artificial intelligence, through what we call technically a robo-advising. So كل هيدا would be related to what we call the artificial intelligence and the financial technology. As you know, right now, all of us, we use the mobile banking. So this is an example of financial technology. Instead of going to the bank and asking for the statement, I can get it from the mobile banking. Instead of making a transfer from the bank's premises, I can do it through the mobile banking, and so on and so forth. So كل هيدا كمان might be the result, might be. They are the result of artificial intelligence. Well, as we said, or as you said, I think, Sherb, the cryptocurrency, they are accounted for using a blockchain technology. Grace, blockchain شو يعني? Blockchain means that if you, for example, transfer the crypto to Raed, you will have a certain information telling that Grace transferred the crypto to Raed. Then if Raed transfers this crypto to Sherbil, we will have another chain telling that Raed transferred this crypto to Sherbil. صار في عندنا blockchain. يعني هيدا الكريبتو هتكون عندها a certain information انه it was with Grace صارت مع Raed, blocked to another chain telling that this crypto كانت مع رواد وصارت مع شربل and so on and so forth. So this is called the blockchain. Well, this is why it's decentralized. Well, this is why it's less subject to fraudulent activities. Right now, they are proposed to be alternative to fiat currency. And I بشوف in 10 years period, all transactions or most of the transactions would be done through cryptocurrencies. Ala. Look what Ala. هلا أنت for example أكثر type of cryptocurrency بتعرفها is the Bitcoin, صح؟ Look what Bitcoin is a type of crypto أكثر شيء مشهورة. For example, we have what we call right now the Ethereum. أهمية الإيثيريوم إنه it might be utilized to conduct smart contracts. يعني اليوم for example, look what at its easiest level, instead to sign a contract physically إنه يجي لعندكم وامضي contract and so on and so forth, we can make a certain transaction to purchase an apartment in Dubai through what we call a smart contract. يعني basically, without going to Dubai, without signing this contract physically, without transferring fiat currency, dollar, euro, or whatever, using the Ethereum currency, which is a cryptocurrency, I can sign a smart contract. وهيدي عم بتصير حاليا. In Dubai, it's accepted to purchase and sell using the Ethereum or the crypto. So basically, أنا من هون, I can transfer a certain value of Ethereum currency, signing a smart contract and purchasing this real estate وخلصت. So basically, right now, with the presence of the cryptocurrency, the artificial intelligence, you can sign what we call smart contracts. بس كل هيدا it's risky. Till now, it is risky. رواد, ليش it's risky? لأنه it's not regulated. Once it is regulated, once it's approved by the biggest economy, US, okay, it would be less risky. This is why عنده potential. Okay? بعد شغلة, the importance of the Bitcoin بالتحديد, إنه it's limited in supply. يعني basically the person who initiated the Bitcoin, I think عمل a certain value, ما بعرف الرقم قديش نسيه هلا, let's say 10 million Bitcoins وخلص this is it. So كل حدا عم يعمل data mining ويكتشف a new Bitcoin, this is it, ما في أكتر منهم. So you know that there is a limited supply of Bitcoin assuming 10 million وفي huge demand عليه. So the potential تبعه إنه يعلى much more than إنه ينزل. Then you have limited supply with high demand. Moreover, if this crypto was again accepted, utilized in the US, خلاص it will pioneer really. So it's a good investment فعليا. Any questions, dears, concerning the artificial intelligence, cryptocurrency, and so on and so forth? So far, so good?
Yes.